You are listening to the Slow Living Podcast, and I'm your host, Stephanie O'Day. What if I told you that you could truly have the life of your dreams, the life you've always wanted, one filled with abundance, joy, and a sense of purpose? It's absolutely possible, and I see it each and every day with my coaching clients. It all starts with learning how to slow down. You deserve to live the life you've always dreamt about. Let's get started. Hi there, Slow Down Society. Steph here, and welcome back to another episode of the Slow Living Podcast. I'm so happy you're here. Thank you so much for spending time with us each and every week. And I want to make sure you know that on the website, there is a sort of book version of this that might be beneficial, and maybe you haven't realized that or haven't goofed around on the website and found out. But there is a free ebook called Slow Down and Simplify. And in that ebook, we walk through on paper the 5 steps to slow living. And in there, I've also inputted some podcast episodes that might be beneficial for you. And then while you're there, if you want to download the daily journaling worksheet, you can, and that's at stephanieoday.com/daily. But that's what, in a nutshell, it's all about. I know we've got a lot of new listeners, and I just want to thank you for being here. And please know you are not alone in any way. So any thoughts or feelings or what ifs that you might have, other people out there have had them too, or are currently having them. So just give yourself a hug, because this counts as self-care. Listening to this as you go through your day, as you're walking the dog, as you're washing dishes, as you're driving to work, this counts as self-care. And so if I had a gold star, I would dole it out right now. So I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for doing something for you. If you want to connect with other like-minded people who are listening to the podcast and are going through the 5 steps of slow living, the Slow Down Society Facebook group, that's what we do. That's what we talk about. I try really hard to not let anyone in who doesn't seem as if they, I don't know, I want to use the term creepy guy. I do not let in creepy guys. Sorry if you're a guy out there listening. Chances are you're not. But anyway, that there's a few questions that I try and use to weed people out to keep it a safe place. Okay, so today we're going to talk about becoming, and becoming is sort of a sister to shoulding. So many of us have heard that phrase of stop shoulding on yourself, which is that kind of internal voice that happens that maybe when you're sitting on the couch and relaxing, you have this voice that says, well, I should be emptying the dishwasher right now, or I should be writing that proposal that I said I was going to do, or I should be eating better even though this ice cream tastes absolutely delicious. So depending on the situation, sometimes those voices, those shoulds, those nagging kind of concerns that linger in your brain are important to pay attention to and shine a light on, because maybe your subconscious is trying to tell you something. But if you have decided on purpose that you deserve to relax, you deserve to take a nap, you feel like you are in a place where you can do whatever it is, it's okay to say no to the shoulds and just turn them off, because you are the adult in the room. You are the driver of your day, and you can decide what's going on. So that's shoulding. Becoming is justification for what you have decided on purpose to do. And I had to catch myself and laugh, because just this past week, I because'd. I because'd myself. So in our family, we've got 3 kids. They're all older now. The youngest is 13. I've also got an 18-year-old and a 21-and-a-half-year-old. So we all have our own phones, and we have a text chain or text thread that we call the nuclear fam. So nuclear fam meaning us 5 are the nuclear family, and we're all in this text chain. So we have kind of this nonstop running dialogue that happens all day long. So if we're going to have our phone silenced, or if we're getting in the car and driving a long distance, we'll just give a heads up to the nuclear fam text chain of what's happening. So I am a huge fan of Siri, love bossing her around. So I told Siri last week to text the nuclear fam, Mom is going to take a nap now because she is tired, period. And so Siri sent that out to the text fam. And I think Adam hearted it and somebody else liked it. And my oldest, she wrote back and she says, that's a good reason to take a nap, exclamation point. And I realized I don't really actually need to justify taking a nap to anybody. But I thought I did, or I thought I should in that moment. I thought for some reason taking a nap in the middle of a workday seems very indulgent and very selfish. And I had that kind of inkling that I needed to because it. And I want to give you permission to not have to because and not have to justify anything that you have decided to do with intention. If you decide to rip out a section of the yard because you want to try planting roses, sure, have a conversation and point out what you're going to do, but you're the adult in the room. You get to decide what you want to do and what serves you and your needs the best. And you don't need to justify it. That's what's fun about being a grown-up. And so just kind of think about that. Think about that throughout your day, throughout your week, throughout your life. What are you still feeling like in some kind of little way, like you're a kid or like you need permission to do something? And it might manifest in different ways for you. Maybe you're out with friends and you're deciding to order, I don't know, maybe something that to some people, they might not think that is a great thing to order. First off, I don't like shaming or looking at anyone's plate or anyone's grocery cart or anything. Humaning is difficult enough without other people's judgment about it. So let's just say for instancing, you are out to dinner with some friends and you order a cheeseburger and onion rings and you're looking forward to it, but you realize the person next to you is going to order a Mediterranean salad. And now all of a sudden you feel shame in your body for ordering a cheeseburger and onion rings. And so you start to justify, you start to because why you're having the cheeseburger and onion rings. Well, I've been really hitting the gym hard. Well, I had a really stressful week at work. Well, tomorrow I'm going to fast all day and beat myself up for it. And maybe you don't say that out loud, but maybe you're thinking that in your head. So let's just stop. Let's just cut yourself some grace and let's just assume that you know you and you know your body the best. And who really cares? Who really cares if you're eating a cheeseburger and onion rings right now and your girlfriend is eating a Mediterranean salad? It doesn't matter. But maybe you think you're being judged. And maybe you think you're being judged because you actually are judging yourself and perhaps judging others. And if that rings true to you in some way, you're not in trouble. You haven't done anything wrong, but it's just something to be aware of. And especially if you're raising children, you don't want kids, you don't want your babies to go through their life, and especially you don't want them as adults to be constantly looking over their shoulder and constantly thinking they're doing something wrong or that they're not doing it correctly or perfectly or they're not adulting properly. Nope. You want them to feel confident and powerful and stand true to who they are and their convictions. And gosh darn it, if they feel like they want to eat a cheeseburger and onion rings, they can. Because who cares? Who really cares? They know themselves. They know what is working for them and what isn't. Where it becomes tricky is if someone has some sort of health issue or outwardly in some way is exhibiting a marker of something that you have decided or you think or you judge unhealthy. But again, it's not on you. So I love that phrase, not my circus, not my monkeys. It comes up at work a lot. It comes up in my coaching calls to help people create boundaries. But think about it. Think about how little you can control anyone else's actions. And so deciding that you're not judging anymore. You're letting it go. And you're not going to allow others in front of you to judge themselves harshly. It just is what it is. It is what it is. The fact is, you're going to have a cheeseburger and onion rings. And the fact is, your friend is going to have a Mediterranean salad. This comes up sometimes with some of my coaching clients who have decided on purpose that they're going to kind of lean into the idea of limiting their alcohol. So I know we had a podcast episode on sober curious or being sober curious. So you can scroll back through and find that. I can't remember the number off the top of my head. But they are feeling uncomfortable because they're heading off to a party or they're heading off to a wedding or a work event, and they don't want to feel like the only person in the room not drinking, and they think other people are going to judge them inappropriately, incorrectly. Somehow there's some shame there. And leaning into that and coming up with ideas of maybe you get there before other people and you go right on up to the bartender and you get a club soda and a lime and you just hold that in your hand all night, or a root beer or something. I said root beer, but I think I was actually thinking ginger ale. This is kind of silly. The reason I'm thinking root beer is while I'm recording this, I can see I can see an empty box of Trader Joe's root beer float popsicles that my daughter put on my desk as a reminder to tell me, hey, we're out of these popsicles and they're amazing and you should go and buy more. So that's why root beer popped in my brain. Also, if you live close to a Trader Joe's and you can get root beer float popsicles, you should. They're pretty amazing. But anyway, back to your sort of idea that if you have decided, for instance, in this situation, to limit alcohol and you think other people are judging you, chances are you're judging yourself. Because if you're solid in your conviction, it really will not matter. And you do not need to justify or because anything to anyone. And think about who that person is and how confident she is when she walks into a room and she knows who she is and what she stands for. And this is it. Take it or leave it. I am who I am. It's such a gift and it's such a freeing feeling to not be weighed down by other people's expectations or shoulds, including your own. So take some time this week and journal on that and see where perhaps maybe you are becoming a little too much or shoulding a little too much. In the Simple Shortcuts to Peace course, sometimes I get questioned on why relationships are so high up in the pyramid. So if you're looking at the different levels, the first level has time management, health and finances, and then we move up a level. Time management, health and finances. Did I say that right? Yes. And then we move up a level to organization and relationships. And then the top, which is peace. So relationships is last, quote unquote, last or second to last on purpose, because you can't expect another human with all of their human baggage to get the bottom part of your pyramid in place for you. You have to do the work. You have to be a full-fledged human adult in order to bring in another human adult. In a perfect world, many, many, many times, you will find yourself in a relationship and you realize that you haven't gone back and done that work. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But ideally, you know who you are and you feel confident and secure in who you are before you bring in another person, because it's a variable you can't control. You have no idea. That person's playing their own game with their own game board, with their own pieces, and you're doing your game here. And the hope is they mesh. The hope is the puzzle kind of fits together in a cohesive way, and you're working together towards a collective goal. But the best thing to do is to get your house in order first. And I realize I'm talking in so many different metaphors, but that's just how my brain works. I talk and envision pictures and metaphors and analogies and that kind of thing. Okay, so I want to give you a few other past podcast episodes that may be helpful and beneficial for you while you're working on this. And that would be 25, caring for the caregiver, 31, being triggered. So if you have a solid foundation, if you are triggered by someone or something, you shouldn't falter. You shouldn't blow over. So paying attention to that, and maybe doing some what ifs with yourself. If this particular coworker does this today, this is how I will handle it. So role play with yourself through some journaling, perhaps. If you know someone in your life triggers you, decide on purpose how you're going to react to that. And so that episode is all about that, episode number 31. Number 36, becoming resilient. And that is absolutely having that solid peace pyramid in place. So you are resilient, because in real life, stuff happens that you can't control. There's natural disasters, there's fires, there's earthquakes, there's the death, an unexpected death of a spouse or a child or a family member, which no one in any way wishes upon anyone. But it happens. Sickness happens. It really does. And so you can't really plan for it. But what you can do is make sure you're strong and grounded and centered. So if that does happen, you don't crumble. 57, protecting your energy. So that was an interesting episode because I wanted you to envision being the nucleus. So again, back to our text chain is the nuclear family. If you are the nucleus, you need to protect yourself in order to then care for the rest of the people in your life. You are the asset, and protecting that is immensely important. And then the last one, number 81, was a recent one, which is remember the WOMOM. And if you are a mom, the WOMOM is the woman behind the mom, because she's in there. She's in there somewhere. And you gotta water her and nourish her and fertilize her and give her what she wants, because the mom part, you aren't needed as much. The kids will grow. They literally will not need you as much. And so you need to know who you are without being a 24/7 mom. Okay. I hope that was helpful in some way. Tag me. Let me know where your brain is, what you're thinking. I'm at Stephanie O'Day on Instagram. If you found value in this, please share it with other people. The more the merrier. I love that somehow, somewhere, the word is getting out about this podcast and you're sharing it. I greatly appreciate it. It means so much to me. And I feel so lucky that every day I get to wake up and get messages from people from all over the world. It really warms my heart. Okay, pretty people, consider yourself loved and hugged. I think you're absolutely wonderful. And I'll be here again next week. Do you have a slow living story to share? Leave me a voicemail at stephanieoday.com/podcast with any questions, comments, feedback, or testimonials, and I will be sure to include it in an upcoming episode. Also, if you found value in this episode, please share it with your family and friends and subscribe through your favorite podcast provider. The more you share, comment, and leave positive reviews, the more people we can reach and share the slow living lifestyle and messaging. Thank you, Slow Down Society, and have an absolutely wonderful day.